So you're thinking about making the move to Rock Hill, South Carolina. Well, in this video, I am going to summarize for you the top 5 things that you need to know before you make the move, because you might think otherwise, or you might fall in love. Make sure to stay tuned to the very end, because I'm going to share with you a not too well-known fact about Rock Hill that might make your stay even more desirable. Now, if you're wanting to know everything there is to know about living in Charlotte, North Carolina, the good, the bad, everything in between, go ahead and subscribe so you can stay up to date on everything that's happening. And if you tap that bell for notifications, we'll make sure that you're the first to know about all the market changes in and around Charlotte. Now, I'm 𝗖𝗁 𝗁𝘁. I'm a local real estate agent here in the area, and myself and my team get calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you looking to make the move. So whether it's 9 days or 90 days, if you're moving across town or across the country or the world, be sure to give us a call, shoot us a text, shoot us an email, or schedule a Zoom. All of our information is in the description and in the comments below. We'd love to make your move as smooth as possible. So let's dive into it today. What do you need to know before making the decision to make Rock Hill home? Now, my goal is, of course, not to talk you into or talk you out of making that move, but with so many incredible suburbs in and around Charlotte, you want to make sure you're picking the right one. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about the economy of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Now, one of the best things about Rock Hill, South Carolina is the economy, and especially the projected growth over the next few years. Now, Rock Hill has 5.4% unemployment rate. While that's a little bit higher than the national average, it's still very low when compared with other major cities in and around the country. Seeing job growth in the area of about 1.6%, but what's really exciting is the projected job growth. That's right, projected over the next 10 years, and this is not coming from me, these are much smarter people than myself, I'm just bringing the information, but projected over the next 10 years, Rock Hill job growth is expected to go up by about 40%. Now, that may not seem like a lot to some of you, but when we're taking a look at the projected growth over the next 10 years for the rest of the United States, that's only going to be growing by about 33%. We'll see where those numbers go, but honestly, I think that's a pretty awesome growth plan. Now, another thing a lot of people ask me is with regards to taxes. Now, if you are from New York or out west or many other states where you have very high property taxes, that's not the case here. In fact, I have cousins who live in Connecticut that pay more in their taxes per month than their mortgage. And yes, I'm not kidding about that. So what is the tax rate of Rock Hill, South Carolina? Well, the property tax rate is 0.58%. That's right, less than 1%, almost half of 1% is your tax rate. Now, part of what goes into making Rock Hill so desirable are the taxes. And in fact, many people live in Rock Hill but work in Charlotte because of these tax advantages. In addition to that, we do have a lot of schools when it comes to universities in North and South Carolina. So if your child really wants to go to Clemson, go ahead and get that Rock Hill or South Carolina address now before they graduate and get in-state tuition. One area that Rock Hill's economics do not look so great is when we're talking about the average and median incomes. The average income of an individual household income in Rock Hill is only $22,000 per year. Now, when compared with the United States average of $26,000, they are definitely lagging behind. Now, we also want to take a look at the median, because both of those are completely different numbers. The median household income of Rock Hill is $40,000. Once again, trending behind the rest of the United States at $53,000. Now, a lot of this is going to change as job growth continues, as well as the urban sprawl from Charlotte is going to continue to grow Rock Hill. We're getting people of different types of employment, such as especially healthcare, which is growing in the area and employs 13% of the individuals that live in Rock Hill and work in Rock Hill. Now, with this growth in healthcare and other industry, we're going to see an influx of population growth, which then leads to more jobs and That's right, higher income levels. So it is coming and it is on the rise, but as of right now, it is definitely lagging from the rest of the United States. The next thing you know or need to know about Rock Hill, South Carolina has to do with the population. That's right, Rock Hill, South Carolina is comprised of about 75,000 people, which is about 2,000 people per square mile. Now, of course, you know that we don't exactly have 2,000 people in each square mile. And in fact, of course, the city center is going to have your highest density or population density within the area, sprawling out to the more rural areas around Rock Hill. In addition to this, when we're talking about the median age of individuals living in the area, the median age is only 31 years old. The national average is about 37 years old, making this a rather young area. Now, if you bear this in mind with such a low median age, that also takes into account why the income levels are a little bit lower. It's people starting their careers or getting out of college and really getting going. Where we see higher income levels usually is when we have people who, well, they've got more established careers and usually higher in age. So take that into account when you're moving to the area. Now, the average number of people in each household is only 2.4, where the national average is 2.6, meaning less people per home. Now, let me give you a little bit of background on what families look like in Rock Hill. Now, this information is coming directly from census data. This is not something that I'm pulling from elsewhere, but this is actual census data that I was able to pull and share with you. If you'd like more detailed information, we will have a link in the description that you can go check all of this out on your own and do an even deeper dive. About 43.5% of people in Rock Hill are married, and about a 10.6% are divorced, meaning more married than divorced, which is great. In addition to that, about 27.5% are married with children. And in addition to that, 26.4% have children and are not married. So, looking for a married pool or a dating pool? There you have it. Rock Hill is the place to go. Now, the next thing to point out, and I get a lot of questions about this, is, well, what is the actual cost of living in this area? So we're going to do a deep dive into the cost of living. Now, in looking at these statistics, we want to understand that the number 100 is the national average. So that's the baseline that we're looking at. Now, the cost of living in Rock Hill, South Carolina is under the national average at 32. But I will say it's also a little higher than the average of all of South Carolina, which is ranked at 89. So let's take a look at what actually makes up the cost of living. This would be groceries, utilities, median home income levels, as well as transportation. So let's go ahead and dive in and see what these numbers all compile to be. Grocery costs for Rock Hill as well as the rest of South Carolina are almost even, being 95.8 and 96. Where we start to see a difference has to do with healthcare. And in fact, healthcare in Rock Hill is rated at 111.5, whereas the rest of the state in South Carolina is rated at 107. Now we're looking at housing. Rock Hill comes in at 84, where the rest of the South Carolina area is 76, so it does run a little bit higher. Now we're looking at the median cost to purchase a home or price of homes in the area. Rock Hill, South Carolina has a median of $245,000 for a home. The rest of South Carolina is at $223,000. And the US average is $291,000. So all pretty much in line, which is kind of nice. So you're not over, you're not under by all that much. Now, the interesting part, utilities in Rock Hill are the US average of 100, whereas the rest of the South Carolina, state of South Carolina, should I say, runs at about 103. And last but not least, when we're talking about transportation, Rock Hill is at 82, while the rest of the state is at 76. Now, all of this combined is telling us that it's still a very reasonable place to live, especially when compared to the rest of South Carolina and the country as a whole. So if you're looking for a really great cost of living, and one of the things not included in here is taxes, which, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about not having to pay too many taxes, this is definitely the place for you. We're going to talk about something that some people don't like to actually talk about, but most people actually really want to know. Let's talk about politics and voting. So when you're moving into an area, you want to make sure you fit in. And everybody has their own views, and I think that's beautiful, and it's a great part of being a part of the United States of America. But we also want to know, where do people lean? Am I going to fit in? Rock Hill, South Carolina tends to lean more conservative in its voting. York County is moderately conservative, with only 41% voting Democratic in the last election and over 57% voting Republican. The remaining 1.6% actually also voted independently. So there is an independent population here in Rock Hill, which is great. An interesting fact to note is that Rock Hill, South Carolina has voted Republican every year since the 2000 election. Now, one thing a lot of people want to know about is, okay, well, who's contributing and where and how? Well, in Rock Hill, South Carolina, the contributions to the Democratic Party, there were a total of 2,100 people that contributed to Democratic or more liberal voting in Rock Hill, South Carolina over the last 4 years. This accounted for a total contribution of over $252,000. This comes out to be about $118 per contribution. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, there are about 1,150 individuals that contributed to the Republican Party over the last 4 years, and that contribution totaled $660,000, which went towards more Republican or conservative views. This is an average about $575 per person contributing. Now, the wonderful thing is we do have all these statistics, but what you've probably seen here in looking at these numbers is there is a party and a place to fit in no matter who you are, who you vote for, or what your views are. I think most of us can agree we're not one or the other, but we all have a beautiful melting pot of beliefs and ideas. Rock Hill is really a great place to fit in wherever you desire. Now, last but not least, one of the biggest things I get asked from most of my clients is, how are the schools? Now, I get all of this information from greatschools.org. We will put that into our description below so you can do more research on your own. But let's take a look at the top high school, middle school, and elementary school in Rock Hill so you know where you need to look out if you want to find the perfect school for your child. Now, Rock Hill schools spend about $10,000 on average per student. The national average in the United States is about $12,000. Now, while your children can get a quality education in the public schools, there are also options to do private schooling or homeschooling. Take a look at some of the links below and you'll be able to see the perfect option for you. I know many of my clients homeschool their children. One of the best places to go is K through 12. That is a website that you can go to take a look at all of the opportunities for virtual learning if that's what's best for your student. So let's take a look at the public schools and where they're ranking and what works best for your child. So starting first, we're going to take a look at the elementary school. Sunset Park Elementary School is the highest rated elementary in Rock Hill with a 7 out of 10 rating. Now, their test scores rate about an 8 out of 10, academic progress 8 out of 10, and equity a 5 out of 10. Now, what equity means, and you can take a look at this on the website, it takes into account the demographics, household income, and several other factors that we can't control from an academic standpoint, but it's more about demographics. Now, there are 441 students from kindergarten through 5th grade that attend this property or this school. And it has a 16-to-1 student-teacher ratio, which actually beats out the 17-to-1 average for the state of South Carolina. And in addition to that, 96% of the teachers have 3 years of training, or I should say 3 years of teaching experience or more. Now, the next one up, middle school. Now, for any of you coming from out of state that are not aware, middle school in North and South Carolina are from 6th grade through 8th grade. That's right, 3 years of middle school. So let's dive in and take a look at what the best middle school is in Rock Hill. Castle Heights Middle School in Rock Hill is rated a 6 out of 10. It has 6 out of 10 test scores, 6 out of 10 in advanced progress of the students, and it has a 5 out of 10 equity rating. Now, with 752 students servicing ages, or should I say grades 6 through 8, it also has 17-to-1 student ratio, student to teacher ratio. And when taking a look at the teachers and educators, 89% have 3 years or more experience as a teacher. And last but not least, let's talk about high school. Northwestern High School for Rock Hill, South Carolina is rated a 5 out of 10. Now, those 5 out of 10 test scores, 8 out of 10 college readiness, and a 5 out of 10 equity score. Now, the biggest thing I want to point out here is the college readiness. This means that students are testing appropriately with regards to SATs and preparation so they can succeed not only in getting into college, but succeed in graduating through college. Now, I'm not going to say that just because you hit this on the head that you are going to go graduate college. What I am saying is it does show that they are preparing your students appropriately to make sure that they can get to a higher level of education. Now, this school services 1,800 students from 9th grade until 12th grade and has a 21-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio. Now, on top of that, 92% of the teachers that are teaching there have 3 years of experience or more. So once again, if you want more information about the schools in Rock Hill or in other areas, go to greatschools.org to pull all of that data and information. And if you're already looking at homes in Rock Hill, be sure to go ahead and take that address and plug it in. Find out what school your student is assigned to. This way you don't miss a beat. Now, I told you I was going to give you a fun fact when it comes to Rock Hill, and here it is. If you're looking to move to the Charlotte and surrounding areas, when taking Rock Hill into account, you are actually about 30 to 35 minutes closer to the beach than most people in Charlotte. That's right, not too far outside of Rock Hill, South Carolina, only a 3-hour drive or less, depending upon how fast you go, you're going to get to Charleston, South Carolina. It's a historic beach community, rich in trade and markets, and honestly, some of the best food and music scenes that you'll find in the South Carolina area. So if you like the beach and you like taking weekend vacations and trips, if you start in Rock Hill, you're already saving 30 minutes on your drive. So with all of these things combined, there's so many attributes to Rock Hill that make it favorable. If you're looking for growth, you're looking for more space, and you're looking for affordable housing and a place to live, Rock Hill is by far one of the best suburbs for you to live just outside of Charlotte and still have all of the amenities you desire. So remember, whether it's 9 days or 90 days moving across town or across the country or the continent, you go ahead and give us a call, text, or email. You can even schedule a Zoom in our link below. Everything's in the description in the comments. And until my next video, I look forward to showing you around town.